We've all spent time snapping together Lego bricks to make spaceships, cars, unflattering portraits of our siblings, and just about anything else we can think of. But some people take Legos very, very seriously. Across the Lego landscape are crazy models that require knowledge of robotics, real-life engineering, and even the ability to bend reality. There are thousands of amazing Lego models out there. Here are just a few such creations that defy tradition. A life-sized X-Wing. The Lego company hires people to design and build insane models with their plastic bricks, which is probably the best job in the world. Suck it, ice cream tasters. Of course, there's a ton of nerd crossover, and you'll find many Star Wars fans on the building teams. Together, they made the craziest Star Wars model in the world, a life-size X-Wing starfighter. Using official sources for the dimensions, the Lego builders put together the iconic spaceship over the course of 4 months, piece by piece. All 5.3 million pieces come together around a steel skeleton, and the final model is 42 times bigger than Lego's largest commercially available X-Wing model. The Lego team also had to consider real-world engineering issues when building it. Since the model was going to make a world tour, they had to make sure it could withstand travel, setup, and the occasional earthquake, which is definitely the most fun way to use an engineering degree imaginable. At 45,000 pounds, there really isn't much of a difference between the model and its fictional counterpart, except for all the sci-fi tech, as far as we know. We wouldn't put it past those Lego geniuses to discover a hyperdrive before NASA does. A life-size Terminator. Out of all of the possible things to build a life-size model of, the T800 is probably the coolest, but also the most worrying. Designed by Martin Latta, the Lego T800 stands at an impressive 6 feet tall and is a faithful reproduction of the iconic cyborg assassin, exposed pistons and all. It has 15,000 Lego pieces and comes complete with light-up eyes. Thankfully, Latta didn't try to create an advanced AI brain, but that's probably next. And as terrifying as any Lego Terminator model coming to life might be, it's a whole lot less terrifying than, well, this. Legos. Stuff of nightmares. The Cubestormer. There's probably a ton of overlap between people who love solving Rubik's Cubes and those who build Lego robots, so it's not too much of a surprise that, in 2011, somebody finally figured out how to build a Lego robot that's so fast it beat every human alive at solving Rubik's Cubes. Sure, Cubestormer 1 could solve cubes, but it took about 12 seconds. Then came Cubestormer 2, a brilliant little robot that solved cubes in just 5.32 seconds, which is insanely fast, especially considering it's just made of commercially available Lego parts and a normal Samsung Galaxy phone for a brain. The Cubestormer 2 held the world record until 2015, when it was conquered by a puny human by a fraction of a second. Of course, by then, the Cubestormer 3 had already improved upon the original design and had solved a cube in just 3.25 seconds. Even the most dexterous human alive, Felix Zemdegs of Australia, has only hit 4.73 seconds. Sorry, meatbags, you don't stand a chance. A functional house. We knew James May was kind of eccentric after watching him on Top Gear, but we didn't know that he was such a giant Lego fan. When May was a boy, he wanted to build a full-sized Lego house. As soon as his own show, James May's Toy Story, started picking up, he knew the time had come.
This box, which has got the orange 8s in it, is just one box of several hundred in my giant box of Lego. The rest of it is in here.
We aren't convinced that building an enormous Lego hoard wasn't the plan behind Top Gear in the first place. From the outside, his house looks just like a block of Legos. But any fans of Top Gear know that James May does not do anything halfway. Not content to just have models of things like toilets and sinks, his team of engineers figured out how to make them work with actual running water. Unfortunately, the bed isn't very soft, but being able to use a working Lego toilet makes up for it. Probably. It wasn't just May putting together his house either. He got the community to take part, and it became a labor of love for all his fans. Unfortunately, the vineyard where the house was built needed their land back, and May was heartbroken when the house had to be demolished.
Pull yourself together.
Legoland decided that they couldn't save his masterpiece because it was just too expensive and heavy to transport. So, just to restate Legoland Windsor's priorities, a giant portrait of Taylor Swift in Lego is within their budget, but an actual engineering masterpiece is not. We refuse to shake that off. Allianz Arena. Every Legoland has a ton of really cool Lego models, showing off faithful reproductions of some of the most impressive architecture in the world. None, however, are as impressive as the 1,300,000 brick model of Munich's iconic Allianz Arena at Legoland, Germany. The arena itself is already pretty amazing, but seeing it made of Legos is somehow even more impressive. By carefully layering square bricks, Legoland was able to reproduce the curved facade of the arena, which is not an easy feat when all of your building materials are pointy. The designers of the model built it on the scale of Lego minifigures. At full capacity, the model seats up to 30,000 Lego people, 100 of which were designed by park visitors. The huge stadium stands 1 meter tall and weighs 3,000 pounds. If that wasn't enough, the stadium also lights up like the real thing, has a multi-level parking garage, and even has smoke effects that can shoot out over the crowd. It's basically nicer than your apartment. The tallest Lego tower. For years, teams around the world have competed fiercely to build the tallest Lego tower, and each year the record inches higher and higher. It isn't a matter of making the tower look pretty, it's just about getting as many bricks stacked as high as possible. In 2015, the record belonged to an Italian Lego group for their nearly 115-foot tall tower. In the end, the Lego tower was a fabulous rainbow of plastic bricks stretching a couple of stories above the historic buildings of Milan. Oddly, the team didn't go all out trying to break the record. They just added a little bit to the record, beating the 2014 mark by a mere 10.5 inches. If that isn't an invitation to competition, nothing is. The Lego company themselves had a role in the incredible structure. For every centimeter built, they donated more money to Urban Oasis, and in 2016, two-time record holder Legoland Germany once again reclaimed the title, hitting 116 feet 4 inches. They celebrated in the weirdest way possible.
Rekord im Legoland Deutschland!
Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.